Alrighty, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday. What's the date today? It is September 12th, Monday. Start of a new week here. See if we can get this rocking here. Let's just get right into it. Do our 4-hour sweep, our macro analysis, where we look at the 4-hour candles, take a look at cycle structure, what's going on. More of a structural analysis to get a directional bias on basically to get an idea on what we're going to do this week. Let's see. It's Monday. It's early, 6 a.m. here in Florida, New York time zone, Eastern time zone, Wall Street time. So London session's kind of coming to an end, somewhat uneventful today. Strong euro. The euro's coming back. It was a weak yen, and the yen's coming back. Other than that, not much movement. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get into our macro analysis here. Try to run through it quickly just to see what's going on. Get a directional bias on major currencies. Any key points that we need to be aware of early in the week. Try to see what we can do here early and see where things are heading as the week goes on. So, without further ado, Buckhorn. Good game, Buckhorn. It's coming off the low. I mean, it's a major weekly low down here. It's not a big surprise that it bounced here. We'll see what happens. It could be putting in just a macro range. Good game. I mean, it's a high or low overall. Jury's still out on this. Still not, on the grand scheme of things. What everybody pretty much knows that we're very likely going lower than this. But good game. It had a nice little pump there. It kind of came out of nowhere. It was weird. We're in the money here inside of a gap above a previous consolidation. It's the invisible money that you don't see. That's important, that you need to pay attention to. So this is a thing here. Again, it is definitely not a good place to be long. This is very dangerous here. You want to be very careful with this stuff. This is how you get locked into a bad position, is buying something after it's already moved. It's already broken above a consolidation here. Even though this gap is here, this is how they get you. So expect some type of consolidation. Had manufactured liquidity above this consolidation right here. Now think about this. If you were short in here, everybody who was short in this block, this range consolidation here, everybody who was short in here, where's their stop? Right here. It also happens to be inside of a gap, and it will tend to go up and fill out inside of a range in here. So just be aware of this. You're probably looking at some type of a distribution here, distribution of these profits from off the low. No guarantees, but again, it's about probability, and it's about what's more likely to happen than not. And the more likely thing is that there's likely going to be some type of a pullback and profit taking. I'm not out of the woods here yet. That being said, it's still pretty low. It's relatively, depending on what time frame you're looking at, but relative to the down move that's happened over the last few months. Had a lot of consolidation. It's still kind of low. The thing is, it's just not a good long entry. It's not the dip you're looking for. Like if you're the cliche buy the dip mentality in crypto, this isn't it. It's not a dip. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite of that. You had a very sharp move to the upside in a very short time period. That's not the kind of thing you want to get involved with, and especially right into here. You got to think about what's happening here. Everybody who was short in here and's got their stop right here above that consolidation, they're all getting stopped out right now. So it's a perfect time for anyone who's long to take profit and distribute those profits into someone willing to buy higher, which is the breakout buyers, right? Trying to break out buy to catch this gap. It's a perfect point of manipulation here. You want to be very careful with this kind of stuff. Everybody who's trying to take the breakout buy to fill this gap could be making a very bad decision. And on top of that, you got people buying back into the market, right? Everybody who's getting stopped out on their shorts. So you have two reasons why there's a lot of buy side liquidity right here. I want to be very careful with that, because what do you need? If we were long down here on the low and we wanted to take profit and transfer our bags to someone who's willing to buy at a higher price, you got two reasons why that's happening right here. Dangerous. Danger, Will Robinson. Stay out of it. Wait for it to pull back. Careful here. It wouldn't be surprising if there's some kind of a rip the other way. So just be careful. Interesting though. Good game Bitcoin on the macro. Good game as far as right here at this price level. Probably not a good idea. You want to buy stuff in when it's low. You know, good game to the risk takers down here. Fortune favors the bold, like Matt Damon said. So he was just a little too early on his commercial. Fortune favored the bold when it was up here at 65,000. Oh man, pretty funny. Good game. Whatever. Dollar. I mean, we got it right off the high. Eventually, gonna catch it, and we caught it. So, yeah, higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high, over and over and over and over. Eventually, womp womp. So there you go. It's very likely going to be a range expansion. This right here, we've been watching this spike low right here. This is the key right here. This should perk your radar up and say, what is going on here? Why did we break the low and then kept breaking the high? We're going to be targeting that on the way down if you want to do the line thing that we don't do here, but you know, you can see what's going on. It's a range expansion. The range is expanding, which is fine. That's great because it's identifiable, and identifiable is profitable. So we're targeting the swing low down there on the dollar. We are pulling back. We, ran down into last week. Good game. Had a lot of news going on too. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of headline risk right now. Huge as far as headline risk. Great time to be a trader. So right off the bat, this sticks out. That spike low right there. Probably expect this to continue lower. This big nasty candle that closed in momentum, that doesn't look great, right? Just again, we caught it off the high. We caught a bunch of stuff here. Aussie dollar, euro dollar, pound dollar, got it all long and expected the dollar to come down. Got that. Closed out some really good profits last week. So right now it's probably not a good time to be taking a position either way. That being said, I want to see if this is going to reject here. If this candle starts rejecting on the dollar, you would expect it to probably retest the low and continue. I am expecting it to go lower on the dollar. Again, that being said, it's already made the move. So it would be reasonable to expect some kind of a grinding move back up, but then fail and make a lower high. We're really looking for the point where this tries to retest a high, but makes a lower high. The problem is you got this swing low on the range expansion down here, and that's generally going to be your target. And it's when it breaks this right here, that's when we're going to be looking to close dollar shorts and flip the other way on stuff, euro dollar especially. It could be rangy here. Translation could be a consolidation here today over the next day or two, but expecting something lower, but then maybe something like that. That would make more sense. Just be aware of the range expansion, likely to break that low. Fundamentals aside, technical traders here, not worried about some abstract economic report or bank policy to try to catch a day trade. It's just not how it works. So whatever. We'll look for that to change. And we'll watch this on lower time frames. 1 second. All right. Clear my throat. Need to take a sip of my coffee on this Monday morning. Jesus. Tired. All right. Yeah, so that's $1. We'll take it. We'll revisit this in just a few minutes. But likely to continue lower to complete that range expansion. There's money down there. That's where the money is. We'll come back to that. Stuff we do on the group on lower time frames. But off the high. So that's a thing. Again, likely to range and go lower. We'll figure that out. Aussie dollar, just really good trades on that. Obviously, last week caught some really good ones. Got the protection short here. Expecting that to probably pull back a little bit but then continue higher. I don't need to get into the structural thing happening here, but this is really, 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 really starting to look good here. Same thing, range expansion. Don't need all these lines on here. It's just to illustrate what's happening. We've been watching this for a very long time. I think months at this point. I'd say weeks, but I think it's been longer than that on Aussie dollar that we've been watching this range expansion just play out, just unfold right before our eyes. And now we've got a potential equal to higher low happening here. We're looking for this to go higher. This is very, very, very likely to go significantly higher to the tune of like 700 to 800 pips higher. So we're watching that. We want to be long Aussie dollar, but from lower. And we're watching the US dollar index for that, to try to match up where those entries are going to be. As far as this right now, I mean, good bullish candle on that last one. Closed in momentum. Let it pull back a little bit. See if we get a 1 or 2 candle pullback. It's possible it retest the low. That's the thing we're going to watch. Is this going to retest the low, or is it going to hold, somewhere near center mass and, kind of get this scoop back up, or is this going to go all the way back down to the bottom here? And one of those two things is going to happen, and we'll wait to try to figure that out before we know what we're going to do here. But upside bias. Definitely have a long bias on Aussie dollar. This is just, again, it's at a great spot, and we may get another shot at this week. Got a really, really good shot at the low last week. May get another shot at this on the macro. Again, this is like macro analysis. We'll drill down into lower time frames and look for the actual entries later. Right now, we're just looking at the macro. What's likely to happen this week? What kind of directional bias can we get for different things? Euro dollar, obviously great move. Watch the shark fin expansion here. Manufactured little liquidity above and below the range. Same thing we've been doing for years. Nothing really to say. We dipped below it, took off. Good game, euro. Euro was very strong overnight, and it's starting to pull back a little bit now. Don't want to buy into this now. Let this pull back a little bit, but when it does, we'll probably be looking to get long on this again. This is, again, going to be epic longs coming. Got a lot of spots on the way up where there's going to be money and good potential profit taking points. There's just so much going on with the euro, like as far as potential. This looks good. There's going to be some good trading on it. Right now, it's not a thing really right this second. I've already run up and made a big high today. That you don't want to start buying into this now. And group members that have the range tool know exactly why. Most of the euro pairs are going to have the same type of thing going on. We'll skip that. Let this come back a little bit. Let this either put in some kind of a range and hold or pull back. But good game. It needs to come back into that consolidation a little bit. Good game. There's going to be a good entry on that, I'm sure, later this week. Euro yen. It's a broken high. I mean, what do you do? New high. New high on euro yen way up here. What happens when you break a high? It's another short, no matter what people say about the Bank of Japan fundamentals. We're day trading here. So, what do you do? Not going to buy the higher high. Not buying a breakout on this thing when it's up here on a ridiculous, 20-year high or whatever it is. However far you got to go back. 2015. Okay. My mistake. 7-year high. Just not buying it now. Great pullback off the high. We'll watch this. This is the kind of stuff where you got to be careful. We're on a massive peak high here, on a higher high, with a range expansion inbound. You got the low broken and now the high broken. That should set off your spidey sense. So we'll watch that again. We'll watch to see how high this goes this week. And again, we'll be targeting the high of the week. Your projected statistical high of the week, we're going to target that and then look for the big one on the way down. Skip it for now. Closed in momentum. The euro was very strong overnight. It also just expanded the range, so be very careful with this and look at where it is on lower time frames on the range tool. Euro CAD, top of the range. Same thing. Sharkfin called it way before it happened. It's at the top of the range right now. If this will pull back a little bit, we're going to be looking to get long from lower, but not from here. It would have been a good, scalp 2-day trade short off the top of the range. Probably stay out of the middle here. Don't diddle in the middle, right? Leave it alone for now. Or look at it on lower time frame. We'll take a look at it on lower time frames, but we can see what's going on here. We're looking to tap liquidity above and below this dense consolidation. You can see where the majority of your density has been. It ran low, right? Took out the longs, tapped manufactured liquidity below the range consolidation, below that spike where everybody had their stop losses. All the thing that everybody says doesn't exist. But we make our money. We make our money by people not believing. People in denial. Euro CAD, leave it alone. Let it come back a little bit. Euro pound. Another potential good situation here this week. We're at the top of a macro range. You got to go out a little bit to see it on the daily. Top of a range. Do you want to be buying this at the top of the range? Probably not. It's starting to reject on the daily too. I would wait and see how this daily candle closes, but I could see some red candles coming over the next few days. We'll look at this one. We'll wait and look at this later. There's been so much going on here. We've caught this a few times. A messy chart, but there's reasons. Method to the madness. Looking for this to pull back a little bit, and kind of the picture that's being painted is the euro is likely to come back a little bit, and it's already happening this morning. We'll take a look at that later. Same thing. I kind of see the pattern here of, we'll look at it later. Got a big move overnight, basically in Asian session, and we're retracing some of that move. So again, euro pound, it's more likely to come down than up, and we'll watch this on lower time frames to see. Come back to it. We're looking for something that makes sense right now. As far as something that we could potentially get an entry on right now, but also what might happen later. What are the next few candles likely to look like? What's likely to happen over the next few days? That kind of thing. Just a preliminary 30,000 foot view of the market here. What are we looking for this week on this Monday morning? It's actually brutal hot here still in Florida. And I'm in Tampa, Florida, and it's September 12th, and it's like 90 something degrees outside and rains every day, and it's hot. It's like a tropical sauna outside. Steam room. Euro Aussie. Just right off the bat, leaving it alone. I mean, we're in between a high and a low. Just very quickly on this, we're in between a high and a low. This is our effective trading range. We're right dead smack in the middle. Try to stay out of that. Could be a contraction. It's potentially could be a contraction where it goes into nothing here. So we'll wait on that. We'll wait on it. Just got some epic longs off the low. Just not in it anymore. Leaving it alone right this second. We'll look at it on lower time frames, but that may not be the best idea to mess with right now because we're in between a high and a low. Euro Kiwi is very similar, except we broke the high and just back into the middle. Very similar price action. That we'll leave this one alone again because we're inside of our effective trading range. There's no outsized risk reward here. We're not up on a high and we're not down on a low, right? So we'll wait. We're in the middle. We're going to wait and see what happens. Can maybe watch it on lower time frames. Skip it. We're going to try to run through this quickly today instead of spending an hour doing this. Pound dollar. Yeah, and a lot of that's because not much has changed from last week. So try to figure out what's changed from our weekly analysis. Rid of some of this crap. It's illustrating some of this higher time frame stuff going on that's not relevant anymore. Clean up our charts. Boy, gonna be a long, tell you that. Waiting for the dollar to come down. We're gonna watch the dollar index. Again, we want to be long from lower, wait for this to pull back. You know, just right off the bat, you're going to be watching in here somewhere. If we can get some type of a pullback into a range down here, you know, if for some reason a range starts to develop over the next day or two, and we get something like this that starts to form, maybe looking at it long from lower, then we'll watch the dollar, see how strong the dollar's gonna. The dollar's likely to recover a little bit, so it would make sense for this to pull back. But man, on the macro, we want to be looking to get long on this, because when it goes, it's going to be a big one. I mean, lots of pips there. Yeah, interesting. You know, we'll watch this again. This could be developing into something very, very good, with a lot of potential entries, a lot of potential in and outs here. So again, let it come down. We'll watch the dollar, but it looks good on the macro. Pound yen. This one's a little different because of the yen. Very messy. Just pound yen is just, it's just not the best thing to trade, and it's been terrible for a long time. If you're only trading pound yen, this is what you've had to deal with. So, good game. Good luck to you, sirs and ma'ams, on only trading pound yen. Not my thing. Potential lower high coming. We're near the top of a range. I'm waiting for it to get a little bit higher. Watching the yen. The yen has made some obviously crazy moves. It's been very weak, but it's starting to recover a little bit. So we could be in that situation right now where the yen is starting to recover. So just be aware of that. We're up on a high right now. It's not a good time to buy this right this second. Don't want to buy into that. And we'll take a look at on our range tool and see where we are. Where are we in the universe? Where are we relative to our weekly projected highs, monthly projected highs, daily projected high? Where are we? You know, where are we on the map? It matters. It matters where you are. If you get dropped onto a deserted island and you have a choice between having a map or not having a map, which are you going to choose? You need to know where you are relative to other landmarks and other things to understand the safest way to get yourself off the island. You need to know where you are. So right now we're at a weird spot. Careful with this. A lot of people are probably going to buy this and get hurt. So we'll come back to that. Buys above this level crew is going to get smoked on that one probably this week. Pound CAD. Right, just immediately aware of that. Just careful. Nothing but selling going on right there. And we're just rejecting at the top of this what's likely just a range low on the downside. You got your sell zone right here and your buy zone right here. Very easy to identify on Pound CAD. Good game off the low. Been trying to catch this for a couple weeks. Got some equal lows down here maybe. So we'll take a look. You know, maybe this is painting a picture on the pound as well. Also, side note, the euro and the pound have been running together a lot lately, so that may be a thing. Looks like our pound Aussie trade's doing good. By the way, so pound CAD. Don't want to start buying into this because we're clearly buying into the top of a range where sellers are selling, and we don't want to become bag holders. We don't want their bags to get transferred to us at a higher level, just in case this does run back down. It's just not a good time to buy it. Sorry. Long pound Swiss in the group this morning. There's a reason why this is looking pretty good still. And we'll watch and see how this candle closes. Still 2.5 hours, but I'd rather be long from down here. You know what I mean? You got a potential big shark fin coming here. You got a dense consolidation without getting too much into structural strategy. You got a dense consolidation. We're looking for this to run back up through big potential. big potential here. Going back to the money. And it depends on the Swiss franc. The Swiss franc has been doing some wild stuff lately, but, you know, we'll see. You know, taking the risk on it. We'll check it out, see what it looks like later. Pound Aussie, same thing with long this morning. That one's quite a bit in profit. I don't know why it's not marked on here. Where is it? Okay, I was gonna say I see it. Yeah, this is our position from today. So we just took this a little while ago. Long looking very, very good. And there's a reason. Looking very good. A good game on that. Back to the 4 hour though. What do we have here? We've got kind of a higher low, but more of a range low. You know, your logical range. You could split it this way. You know, very likely got more room to go. And it's pretty low. Yeah, I would rather be long than short from here. You know, don't want to be short from the bottom, right? You don't want to sell the bottom. You don't want to buy the top and you don't want to sell the bottom. This sticks out like a sore thumb. Point where shorts were correct in the move and have not been stopped out. Definitely shooting for that. So that's a thing. That's a big trade. It's 220 pips. That'll probably hit this week. Good game. Pound Kiwi. It's kind of the same thing. This one's a little messy. We got a tight consolidate, not really tight, but the density, we're kind of in the density. If you look at where the majority of the candle bodies are, your density's in here, your average consolidation kind of in there. Not really the best. That being said, this right here sticks out and you kind of got some price action that's holding, like it's kind of holding. I wouldn't be surprised if this floats back up through that, if we get a floater back up through that wick. You know, just the sell-off, there's going to be low volume here because there's not much going on but selling. And everybody who is long is going to be trying to get out of it. So, I don't know, we'll see. It wouldn't surprise me if that runs higher. It's not a good spot, though. We're in between highs and lows. It's back into the middle. Kind of stay out of the middle. Next, CAD Yen. Again, just on a very, very big high up here. What we were talking about there, what that was on higher time frames. Big high up here. Man, it's a range high. Again, logically, if you split this into a range, see what's going on. Price doesn't move diagonally like trend lines. It moves vertically and horizontally. It just looks like a trend line. So we're near the top of a range. This multi-candle small body grind up to the top. I would be very careful with this. You're looking for a big red candle to the downside. Come back and look at that later. CAD Yen, we'll watch it for the high of the day. We're going to be trying to sell the high of the day at the top of the range, because what's likely to happen again after this multi-candle grind right here is the retest of the low. And we'll watch for the yen to get stronger. That would make sense. We'll come back to that. We'll mark that actually. CAD Yen, mark that down. Watch it from the top of the range. Don't be surprised if you get a big nasty red candle on CAD Yen. Dollar CAD, moving on. Looks rough. We know the dollar is likely to pull back a little bit too. So, I mean, logically, you know, you can see what's going on here if you want to do it that way. So, you know, we're on the high pulling back. Now what's actually going on lower time frames is we're retesting the low down here. This looks terrible. We've got a kind of a squared up consolidation coming off of a high, and we retested the low. Generally that's going to continue lower. Now where we're going to be watching where it's likely to go first. What's likely to break is probably right there. So probably lower in the dollar, waiting for the dollar to pull back up again anyway to go lower. Right, we just, for one of the first things we looked at was the dollar's likely to pull back up and then run lower. So this kind of makes sense. How far back is it going to pull? And again, the CAD has some effect here. We'll watch that. There's not a lot of news this week. There's really not much news this week, which is good. There's been a very heavy headline risk lately in the news. There's just so much news going on, and there's not as much this week. So hopefully we can clear the way to trade a little bit. It's been a weird couple weeks. It's been a tough couple weeks, price action wise. A lot of crazy news stuff going on. You got to get some of that stuff out of the way so people are willing to risk capital again. When there's a lot of news and events, Federal Reserve and ECB and Queen dying and things like that, there's a lot of risk in the market. All the energy stuff, the war stuff. People sit on their hands and they wait to risk their capital until they can see what the outcome of the news is. So you end up getting low volume and messy markets. It's just the way it works. But when there's not as much news, people tend to have more of a risk on sentiment. So that's good. It's the opposite of what you might think. But anyway, we need to get the headline risk out of the way so people will risk capital, get some volume back in this currency market. Market's been tough lately. We're doing the best we can. Fight through it, still doing all right. Up for the week last week. Did very well last week, actually, considering. NASDAQ, good game. Not much to say here. We're breaking a swing high. Careful here. We're in the money. We're in the money, in the gap right here, just above that. Careful here. Expect to pull back after that move. It's moved up. Again, we'll be watching the high of the day somewhere, wherever it's going to be. But we're going to start paying attention to this, actually. There's very likely going to be some type of a pullback short to set a range, to develop a range, probably somewhere into there. Whoops. That would make sense. We're going to look for this to spike high and then sell off. And then we'll probably have the top of our range when it spikes high. And then we'll be targeting something like this. We'll be looking for to clear back through the middle. So we're going to be looking for a spike high first. Give you a big hint. S&P, same thing. Not much to say there. Dow, same thing. It's going to be identical. Oil, killed it. Great long on oil. Keep it, hold it. Do not let that position go from last week. Unless whatever. Let's say that. But if you need to close profit, hit your profit target or whatever, take it, get back into it. But in theory, you would hold this coming off a lower low. Oh my gosh, with what's going on with oil and where it is on the macro. And we talked about this in previous analysis videos for the last couple weeks. This is just, it's very, very low. And we don't know if this is going to be a range yet. This week, this could be setting up like a major range low like this to go retest the high. Even if it makes a lower high, it could go very, very, very high. Relative to this, much, much higher. We don't want to be short oil. That we know for sure. We definitely do not want to be short oil. As a matter of fact, we're going to hold what we've had. We've been working this back and forth, doing a very good job of this too. These are distance moves too. We're looking at significant moves here trading between the lines. Right here, we want to definitely stay on this long. It's got room to go to the upside. As far as entries, I want to be looking for a pullback on this. I wouldn't be buying into this right now. This is a little sketchy here. And again, we're going to target our swing high, obviously, right there. It's likely to stall up there somewhere. I would let this pull back a little bit. Wait and see if it pulls back. I want to get long from lower. Long from lower. Gold, same thing. Just murdered this last week. Just murder, death, kill, destruction. Death and destruction of the oil, of gold. God, caught this to the pip twice and then caught the pullback short to protect it. Realistically, we want to still be long gold. This is just so juicy here. On the macro, go out to a daily and look at it. ridiculous. There's a fundamental floor on it. We could talk about the geopolitical implications of Russia pegging their currency to gold, the ruble to gold, and forcing Europe to purchase gas and oil only in gold and rubles, right? Going into the winter when it's getting cold. There's a fundamental floor on gold. It's something that nobody's talking about. There's a fundamental floor being put in on gold, as well as a technical floor right now. This is wild right now. You should not be short gold. It's almost too obvious, and that's what's sketchy about it. It's like it's too obvious that this is like the trade of a lifetime on gold. There's a fundamental floor put in on gold in a way. So really weird here. Russia's forcing Europe to buy gold. And at the same time, it's on a major macro low on technically. So we're buying gold. We're trying to buy the low every time it goes down. We're buying red candles on gold. There's no reason to sell it unless you're trading it on a day trade or whatever. But as far as swing trades and stuff like that, man, there's a huge opportunity right now. You're just buying the low of the week every week on gold. So good game on that. You know, what did we learn here? What's the cliff notes? Dollars pulling back to probably go lower. This is important. It would not be surprising if we get a lower dollar this week, but we're also watching to see how far this is going to go up before it starts to roll over. And we'll have to look at it on lower time frames, but probably going to end up lower and higher at some point. So we're careful here. That's a thing. The euro is definitely coming down. Euro yen's just huge opportunity short here. Man, again, you know, same thing, you know, last week, but even better now. Huge opportunity to sell it. It's not right this second, obviously, but we're selling green candles, selling broken highs. Every time it breaks a high, puts in a high of the week, high of the day. We're going to be watching where that is. And we're kind of getting the same thing on a lot of the euro pairs. Same thing. They're all on range highs, all looking like shorts. So interesting there. That's, you know, something a big takeaway. Everything condensed volatility here. Not really much going on so far this morning on Monday. I don't know. Today is going to be a look at lower time frames and figure it out kind of day. But we're kind of getting a picture painted here. Want to be long from lower on pound dollar. You know, let stuff pull back a little bit, but really good opportunities. Kind of what it looks like. You know, things are at range highs and range lows. Big highs, big lows. And we're just still, again, waiting for some pullbacks or something somewhere. It's kind of the thing. Not really a lot going on. A lot of stuff is ranging other than that. CAD yen looks good. CAD yen's going to be a short. Very high probability that puts in some red candles there. It's going to be great. We'll catch it. That's kind of the thing. You know, as far as equities, U.S. equities market, good game on the move last week. That being said, we're breaking a swing high going into a gap right now. Be careful. This is where manipulation is going to happen. This is where people are going to try to buy this to run up through that gap. And someone with more money than you is going to sell into your buys. And you're going to get caught here for a few days and while it pulls back. So be careful. Careful in equities. Let it pull back a little bit, and then we'll be looking to get long from lower. Good game. You know, it's trying to go up and retest the high, but we should already be long. Should have been long on the broken low down here. But now that we're all the way up here in that very short distance, what we don't see yet is the right side of the chart, and you very well could be doing this right now. Be aware that this could just be a big range that hasn't developed yet. Be aware of that. And your better risk reward is to be selling the high of the day in equities, not buying up here. You don't want to buy this up here with a potential range high. You want to be selling into this. And, you know, we'll take, again, watch this on lower time frames. Oil, good game. Long from lower. Hold it if you're still in it. Not much to say. Gold, same thing. It's on the low. Long from lower. If we can get some pullbacks this week in gold, again, it's As far as day trades, probably be looking for a short on a broken high to try to catch that lower price. Try to catch it both ways. You don't want to buy into it now. It's too moved a little bit too much in a very short period of time. Wait. Could be messy. You see a lot of potential ranging going on in the market, and that can change very quickly. If something happens here today or tomorrow, all this structure could change significantly depending on how we close. How do we close these daily candles? What about the next 2 to 3, 4 hour candles? What are they going to look like? Little bit more of a murky analysis this week. The things that we were looking for have kind of happened. So a little bit less clear at the moment. So we'll watch ranges. We'll try to drill down into lower time frames and figure this out. We'll come back to it. I don't know. Hope everybody had a good weekend. We're going to catch up this week and try to find some good trades here.